Hello, Engage Our Tribe. My name is Ranika Chaney. I am the engagement manager for Engage Art, and we are continuing our behind the scenes series with an Engage Art staff member. And I am really pumped because today we have Will Feldman, our Chief Marketing Officer. Will, hello.
How are
How
you?
are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. I'm really excited to see you. Well, not only will our tribe get a chance to get to know a little bit more about you, but I'm excited to learn a little bit more as well. So we're going to jump right in. Let's start easy from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, what early life was like.
Sure. Yeah, my life, it's been pretty full already, which is pretty fun. But I'll tell you, I grew up, and my favorite thing to do was go out and go fishing. like, and
Oh,
love doing it. We had a lake in our backyard, so I was able to do that a lot, and probably fish 200 days a year. So a lot of time solitude in nature, and grew up, on a little farm and loved it. So. Picked up a camera when I was in 8th grade. Actually, before that, I was interested in it, but I didn't have one, and
yeah.
started, clicking photos. At that point, my dad got a camcorder, an old 8 millimeter. Started shooting some videos. My first videos of was an 8th grade project that I storyboarded out, and it was of my puppies. And so we had
Wow.
eight black Labrador puppies, and they were like super cute. And I mean, I hear myself talk on it now. I'm like, oh, I don't know if we're ever gonna post that one. Put it that way. But then, from there, just I had, a real strong passion. I wanted to be a National Geographic photographer, travel the world, see amazing places. It wasn't probably the best profession at that time. I was told by family that, hey, you need to do something that's more reputable than being a photographer. If you ever want to have a family, things like that. And so I fell into the family business, which is chiropractic. So everybody's always surprised that I'm a chiropractor by trade. So 9th grade, I decided to become a chiropractor. Um,
What?
when I went through school, I went to Atlanta. I finished pretty rapidly, but one of the cool things was, my first quarter that I was down in Atlanta, I saw, a gentleman with a big lens, and we were at a track and field event. I'm like, I saw him come closer to the fence. I'm like, how do I get that seat? And I was just joking. I was like flipping about it. And he's like, you shoot? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you got your own gear? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, here's 11 rolls of film. Okay, I'm dating myself a little bit. So he's like, bring them to me on Monday, and here's a pass. Shoot this tomorrow, and let me know. Come by. And so that was the boss. Apparently, somebody didn't show up for their job, and I got that job, which was pretty cool, and got to do all sorts of different things. The Olympics were there at that time, and so I got to take photography of 13 different Olympic teams and galas and Naismith Awards and all sorts of different sports and rugby, and it was a lot of fun. So that helped. There was a magazine associated with it as well. That helped in the marketing side of things, understanding that. Started my practice, moved I should say I moved to Colorado first because I always wanted to live in Colorado, and just love the mountains. It's so beautiful. I love to ski, snowboard, anything outdoors. And once I got into practice, I hit all my goals. I started getting a little bit bored, so then I realized I was actually an entrepreneur. Was able to get back into a few things. We did a food travel show that never really got anywhere, but we shot the pilot, and so that got me really back into video production. And I was able to retire from chiropractic and start another business. It's a media group, and so we have a full studio and do lots of marketing videos. We do shows as well and things like that. It's been an interesting life so far. So I started that in 2009, and so we've been doing that for a bit, and work with a lot of companies I'm sure you've heard the name of. So
Will, your story is amazing. I think you rattled off about 30 things that I just learned in these few minutes. That's amazing. Will. That is amazing. Okay, so you're clearly wonderful at what you do when it comes to video production and creation and all of that. What are at least maybe 3 tips you can give to our tribe when it comes to video production, creating videos, just something that you think will be helpful?
yeah, so lighting key, sound key, and composition. Make sure it's interesting. It could be interesting to you, and you could talk about something for an hour and a half, but it might not be interesting to somebody else. So understand who your viewer is, who you're speaking to through that video, whether it's a TikTok video or if it's a documentary. You have to think through those things and think about who those demographics are. Relate to them, bring examples there, as well as I would say a lot of people go a little bit too long on things, and think about if you have that camera rolling all the time, you've got to edit that too. And so, I mean, an easy rule of thumb is it's about 8-to-1 to edit something. So if you're taking an hour of film, it's going to take 8 hours to edit it. So, I mean, if you think about that, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, let's keep it shorter it's not to say you can't roll the camera, but you gotta edit things out, to make sure that the editor or whoever's editing that piece is going to be able to do it efficiently.
Those are good nuggets. That was great. What you clearly know you clearly know all of this and what you're doing. What's challenging when it comes to what you do? What are some challenges you think that you face even at this stage?
So challenges now, I think, that's an interesting question, because I think the challenges for a business in this environment are different than individual. I think there's a lot of opportunity for individuals to really push in. Let's just talk about the video side of things, marketing side of things. There's obviously it's the same thing. Larger companies have a lot more overhead. They have to charge certain rates. The price and barrier to entry has gotten a lot lower. It used to be, hey, it's $150,000 to enter the market, and now, I mean, you could go put some things on a credit card and go to Best Buy and get a decent computer, a decent camera, a gimbal, and be able to shoot a pretty good video, and you could start to use some of the tools and things that are out there. You can do it, and that's honestly, it's competition to larger production houses and agencies and things like that. The same thing with social media. Everything's become a lot easier, a lot more automation, a lot more things there. I think, when you discuss brands, that has not gotten necessarily easier. It's been easier to get a logo. Like, you can get, 15, 20, 30 options for $99, right? But that doesn't mean that you have an idea of the messaging of the brand, understanding who you're speaking to, have done the research on who that exact target market is. And I think that's a lot of reasons why companies fail. They just don't think about that. And they don't think about a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years out. They just don't have those plans. They're, I think with any small business, especially, they're just saying, hey, I need to get this client. They somewhat say, I'm going to pull them in and hopefully satisfy what they need so I can get my paycheck, so I can, pay my mortgage or my rent or whatever. And so, and unfortunately, that sometimes takes you off course from what your total goal is. And I've had that. I definitely made a lot of mistakes. So anybody has any questions about those, let me know.
And I think that's why you're so good at what you do as well, right? It's the mistakes that really help us move forward. So
take the challenge, do it.
Absolutely.
I think, there was, Warren Miller is a big, he's done tons of ski videos and things like that. And he had a saying, he said, if you don't do it this year, you'll be 1 year older when you do. And
I love it.
I think it's a good statement. And I think that, you do learn a lot from your failures. I mean, but you should try to learn from other people's failures. Don't try to fail. That's the hard lesson.
That's wisdom in that.
Yeah. Ask a lot of advice. And it's funny because a lot of people, they do come to me and thankfully they do, because they're like, hey, what's it like in the industry? What's it like doing this? And, I want to, be a Hollywood producer. I'm like, well, if you want to be a Hollywood producer, you should go try to talk to somebody that is, and see if they actually like it, because they might not.
Absolutely.
But I think that, that's with any industry is, find 3 to 5 people that are in that industry, whether it's, a chiropractor or whether it's something else. I mean, we're kind of streamlined in school to just go to school, then, maybe go to college or, pick a trade or something, but you don't necessarily know what's best for you when you're in a high school. You don't know, and so you should talk to as many people as possible so you can get that background on everything.
Yeah, and this is why you're absolutely a gem to us at Engage Art. What about rewards? What's rewarding about what you do? I
You
think
know,
there's
to
obviously.
me, I think I had a question posed to me, show my age here a little bit, like 25 years ago. And when the question was, what drives you?
Mhm.
And to me, it took me a minute because they said there's no pat answers. You can't just say, well, God drives me, or, I
Right.
want this or whatever. So you had to figure out a little bit more. And I figured out that, and I won't go into the whole thing, but I figured out that basically what drives me is seeing the flicker of hope in somebody's eyes. And
Mhm.
so, and that's been a common theme throughout my life, whether it's, encouraging people, whether it's helping people be better with chiropractic, whether it's a small business owner that all of a sudden the flicker of hope comes on because they can see their dreams come together with the plan that we create. Like those are the things that you have to figure out what truly drives you and get down to the most specific thing you can, write it down, and then write everything else down that you want. And because a lot of people type today, which is, I mean, everybody types, right? But everybody types things out. But there's something with that cognitive response in your brain. When you write things out, your brain in the subconscious starts to work on it, even though like you don't realize it, it's working on it. So, people that write out business plans, why are they more successful? They don't necessarily look at their business plan. They actually just wrote it, it's there, it's amazing. The statistics show that, but if you write out your vision of your goals of what you want to be and who you want to be and where you want to go and all those things, I think that's really, really important.
I actually think there's a verse on that in writing out the vision, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. Yeah. Um, so you create a final product, right? I love everything that comes out with Engage Art, our videos. What if you go through that process, you have a final product, and it's not quite what you
Mhm.
expected it to be? How do you adjust and how do you proceed?
Yeah, you mean like version 9, 10, 5? Yeah, that's real. It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, especially, Will, if you have to get it out, and how do you adjust? How do you proceed? What do you do there?
Yeah, I mean, when you're on deadlines and things like that, there's not a lot you can do. Sometimes you can just make sure. I think going into the project with a plan is always the best. Understanding what that rough outline is, and sometimes you don't necessarily have time to do some of those things in certain types of media, I would say, but for most part, most people do, especially when you're talking about art. You do have time to plan that out, and I think thinking through everything. So I mean, if you're making a painting, you have to understand that, hey, I want to have this detail in the foreground, but you have to have all the layers in the background to build up to that, to tell that story of what really a great piece will do. Or if it's a music video, you have to plan that out as to, you have the song, right? But then you have to figure out how you can portray every aspect of that. And I think understanding that, and doing a lot of pre and prep work, especially when you're starting, is essential. I think it gets a lot easier. There's recipes. After you've done thousands and thousands of projects, it becomes a lot easier, and you can use recipes.
Hold on, Will, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, I think somebody's trying to sell me another health insurance plan. So, but yeah, so I think that yeah, pre-planning, that's the key. Understanding the recipes, talking to others, asking advice always is good. So looking at, I mean, and now, I mean, we have such incredible tools, like being able to jump on, the Engage Art website, being able to go into the social, meetups and things like that, where people can actually talk and discuss and do some of that back and forth is phenomenal. I mean, otherwise you've always got YouTube and you can watch tons of different things. You can type in best video that uses canoes. I don't know. I mean, you make something up.
Yes.
Yeah, best type of video that, or best artists in the 18th century that
Right.
or whatever. I mean, you could type anything in, you could find it.
I think
It's
a lot of us
unbelievable.
have learned a lot from YouTube, a lot of
Yeah.
different things from YouTube. We talked a little bit about mistakes, and I kind of want to go back just a little bit. What is a common mistake you find when it comes to what you do, video production and creating?
Common mistake is, I would say, not understanding if we're talking about video, let's talk about like not understanding the environment you're about to shoot in. Like, so if you go to a location and maybe you're interviewing somebody or something like that, or maybe there's something going on, there could be people in the background that get in your way. There could be a train that comes by honking. There could be, things that you don't anticipate. So understanding like the environment that you're in and the environment you're going to film in is really essential. As well as, if you're using talent, like making sure that they know their lines, making sure they're directed appropriately, making sure that they come, prepared with makeup and hair done, unless you've said, hey, we're gonna have a makeup artist on set. Like there's things that you have to do. Having the right lighting and having more gear and equipment than you really need is always important. Making sure that you have extension cords, something that simple, or enough battery packs to power things. I mean, those are all things that, like, if you don't, prepare the day before, like to make sure that your drone battery is charged up, that your camera batteries are charged up, that you have enough cards, or you've dumped that data. That's all wasted time that you would have on a production. So, I mean, a lot of people forget, like we have a statement in the studio that if you don't have it, triple backed up, it doesn't exist, because like we've had drives and cards and everything else fall apart. But if we wouldn't have been prepared with having an extra external hard drive or something like that, or had enough cards to, for the cameras, I mean, those are all things that people need to they're really frustrating. But, make sure you have good gear and make sure you have enough prep.
Thank you for telling me that. I had a little visitor join me.
I'm surprised I haven't either.
And even in doing this, one of the things that I tell myself is make sure you have fun when you're doing what you do. So do you have a motto or a saying in what you do?
Yeah. I think I came up with a bunch of different things, but I think, I don't know. I don't know if I do or not, but I think just do it the best you possibly can. And there's no reason to not have a good attitude about it. I mean, no matter what happens, I think you have to smile. And there's never a time that stress really helps an environment, so you still got the hey visitor. I've got 4 around here somewhere. I don't know where they're at. So, but yeah, and I think that, I think never be afraid to fail, but also, I think that if you take that and phrase it a different way, that if you think that, what would you do if you knew you weren't going to fail? I think that changes the statement a bit. And so that's actually, I would say, something that I have as a motto for me. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Right. So that opens up a whole lot more doors, because most people don't ever open the door because they're afraid to open the door, and I think that you can't be that way. And I think with the way, I mean, we live in such a weird world, but I think there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity and a lot of people that are willing to help about anyone, and so I shouldn't say about anyone, but there's a lot of people that are willing to help. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Will. Thank you for that. And I guess I just want to wrap it up. Is there anything that you would want to add? Maybe people are just joining the live, that maybe if they didn't hear anything else before this, something that they can take away from this.
Do it now, never quit.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Will.
That's another motto, I guess. Do it now.
Yes.
Never quit. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Will.
Right.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. You are so fun, and I could see why you love what you do, saying that you like to see that spark inside of people. You do that even when we've had chances to be together and you walk in a room, you really make a difference. So I just want to thank you, and thank you for understanding people can see being live, having little ones. I know you have little ones. I have 5, you have 4, right? Yeah. So people will understand out there working from home.
Don't forget the chickens and the cows.
Well, you are amazing. And I want to remind our tribe to make sure that they submit their artwork to the Engage Art contest at engageart.org. You can go and see all the wonderful artwork in our gallery right now. Make sure you download the Engage Art app. We have wonderful content that we put out weekly Also, go ahead and like us on Facebook. And if you've already liked us on Facebook, make sure you spread the word and tell others to like Engage Art. And we are really excited about our next monthly Bible cluster. The next one will be October 26th at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We will be discussing Psalm 126. We have two wonderful artists, one in the visual arts category and one in the video arts category. So we hope to see you all there, and make sure you also invite a friend. You can see that information in our artist Facebook group. Will, thank you again.
Right. You're welcome. And to everybody that is watching or sees it at some point, enter, tell other people about it. We have gone global with Engage Art and this competition. I mean, a lot of times people don't believe it's true. I feel like the prize money is great. I feel like there's a ton of great submissions, but there's the ability for a beginner to win, and there's the ability for somebody that's very seasoned to win. And I think that there's a lot of different opportunities that are available in this competition, as well as the community. And I think that people need to reach out if they have questions, if they need help. There are people to help them out, and I think that's something that is very, very unique in my opinion. And so yeah, if people need to want to be an ambassador, go share this with others. Reach out to us as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Will, and thank you for adding all of that. And we want to make sure you guys take some time today to engage culture, engage scripture, and engage art. Bye, everybody.